Hi everyone, we are about to go, or we are just live, and we're about to do some Trapunto on your sewing machine. Now I'm hoping you can see this area. I'm going to get my computer up and running because I am doing this live. I've got my coffee. Oh, beautiful, sloppy. Isn't that wonderful? Nice, first thing in the morning. I'm going to try and put my glasses on and hope that I don't fog up, but I've got a feeling they're going to fog up for the next 5-10 minutes or so. When you're on, say g'day, let me know. For those watching later on YouTube, this will be an upload from a live Facebook demonstration. Now, with this one, with this design, this is my succulent design. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be doing every single one of those lines in there. I'm going to ad-lib a little and make them bigger and less of them. You'll understand soon why. So we're going to trace that out. And I'm tracing it out with a wash away pen. Good morning, everyone. So I'll just let you sit here, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. Those of you who've never heard of Trapunto, you might have questions about what this is all about. Trapunto is something that is traditionally done by hand. I've said it many a time that I'm not going to live long enough to do everything by hand, so I do a majority of my stuff on machine. Plus, I'm not that good at hand. Oh, really, Adele? It's really late there. Well, I hope you enjoy. You might be able to add this to some of your art quilts that you do so beautifully over in Ireland. To be sure, to be sure. That's doubly sure for those who aren't knowing what that is all about. Yeah, so I'm just going to trace this out. Now, I know wash away pens are all a little bit, what if it doesn't work? If this doesn't wash away, there's no major big deal. I suppose there is a big deal because you'll see this pink line, but it should just wash away. All right, so that was hard. Good morning, have never heard of it. Okay, cool. Well, you are learning something new today. So I'm making these a little bit bigger, like a lot bigger, because when you see this done, you'll understand why. And you'll be like, yep, get it. All right, so that is my succulent. Glasses are fogging up. Yep, you've done it. Cool. All right, well, I'm going to show you how I do it. I was taught this by the lovely Kimmy Bruna many years ago. It's just such a really rewarding thing to do. And it seems to be one of the main videos that I get watched on YouTube. And the video is so old, I thought I would redo a new one. Now, I'm just thinking, oh yeah, they're over there. You will need a pair of duckbills. You'll need pins. You'll need your fabric, of course. It's like stuffing a chicken breast. No, we don't even stuff anything. There's no cutting a fabric or anything. And you'll also need some dacron. Now, this stuff is really, really thick, okay? You'll also need some batting, wadding, whichever one you want to call it, as well. We don't do any stuffing, and your backing fabric. So there's no stuffing with this one. What we're going to do is we're going to get this one. Now I'm going to cut it. Now I do sell this stuff, FYI. I've never shown you guys because it's not sort of something that, it's not like a typical thing you'd go, oh yes, I need that. But yeah, dacron, you'll need it to be the same size, if bigger than your actual design. So I've cut that. Fat quarter of dacron is $10. So if you want a fat quarter of dacron, leave me a comment and I will organise that for you. Then you get your design, place it over the top of the dacron and pin all the way around. These pins will drive you crazy, but that's okay. Okay, Vaughn, hello everyone else. I haven't said hello to her yet. So I'm just going to pin that around. I've got pins today. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. I'm not too far away from the camera this time. And you'll need your free motion foot on to do this. It is a free motion thing. You can just take your time. First things first, we are going to stitch a basting stitch all the way around this. And hi Charmian. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch about 1/8 inside of that pink line, just around the edge, nowhere else. Okay, all the way around the edge, anything that is the edge. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So I'll pop that aside. Oh, grab my machine, swap my foot over, and I'll adjust the camera for you in a second so that you can see better. Hi Kerry, and I want my open toe foot. Now you're going to ask me something, and you're going to say, how am I doing a basting stitch if it's free motion? Because, you know, free motion is normally it goes faster and all that jazz. Well, we just slow that machine right down. We put the feed dogs down and we put our tension on around about 5 or 6, somewhere in there. And I do have white thread on the top. You can put a colour in if that's easier for you to see, because you're going to be picking this out later. So, slowing my machine down, I've got a little slider on the side of my machine up here. I'm going to adjust my camera. You see all my junk in the background, but we'll zoom in. How's that? Alrighty. So, I need my quilting gloves. Because there's dacron on the back of this, it's really thick. And, sorry, I'm just getting stuff out of the way. And it will create a resistance. So, I also need to, when I put my foot down, I need to adjust it a little bit up, which I can do on this one. And I'm going to pop my needle down. Actually, I'm going to move my needle across. So I can see it better. I'm going to put my needle down here, and I'm going to grab. I'm going to actually grab that top one. I'm going to see. Oh, I might not be able to grab that bobbin. See if I can pull that bobbin up a little, because I need to bring that bobbin up to the top. I want to be able to hold on that. My bobbin is getting light, so I'm hoping it gets around this and then I'll change it. Okay, try again. Needle down, needle up, and bring that bobbin up just like that. Hi Kerry Lee. And put your needle back down in the same position. Pop your gloves on. Very important to have your quilting gloves on. It'll reduce the resistance that you feel in your elbows and your wrists and your shoulders. Now I have my machine very, very low, and I'm putting a bit of pressure down and tensioning that fabric just like that. And I'm going to press start, and it's going to go really slow. I'm holding that thread and I'm going around here. This is going to be like watching grass grow for you guys, because it's going to take a while. So you just gently go around just to hold that down. Any questions so far at all? You notice that when I want to stop and change positions, I literally stop my machine. If you're not using your stop start button, you'll need to use your pedal. So go all the way around and make sure it's a basting stitch, otherwise you'll never get it out. Luckily, it's a reasonably small design. It won't take me long to go around. All right, so I'm halfway there. So as you can see, I'm still pulling that taut. Pulling it tight does create a little bit of resistance for me, but the gloves do make a difference when maneuvering the fabric with the Dacron. Try not to go up and down in one spot too much. You'll end up with a knot and it'll be hard to get out later. So Adele, you're going to find this so much easier than doing the stuffing it from behind method. And like I say, for those who are in Australia, it is $10 for a fat quarter of Dacron. It will last you forever. It'll outlive you, that's for sure. And you can use pieces of it, like oops, a daisy went the wrong way, to get your to fill in an area. So if you wanted to, say, join two pieces together, you can do that. You've just got to make sure that you overlap a little, not too much, so you create this massive big bulk, but you can use your little bits and pieces. I've got a bag of little bits and pieces that I've kept for 100 years. And I still don't want to get rid of them. So just in case, you know, it's one of those things. I find it very hard to find Dacron. Whenever I try and find it, I always find that I have trouble. All right, so I'm just going to overlap that stitch. I've made it. Don't cut off. Put your needle up, pick up your foot, and pull that thread out. You might be asking me what thread I'm using in the bobbin. I am using the Wonderful Deco Bob, and in the top I'm using a 50 weight cheap poly thread. So as you can see, it all works beautifully. I do, Louise, yes. So you might have missed the start. So I've got fat quarters of Dacron for $10. I'm literally going to just pop that pin in there just to hold that for a second. All right, so now I'm going to move, oh, I broke my thread off. And now I'm going to move my, what are you doing, Michelle? My machine out of the way for me. Actually, I'm going to change that bobbin because it is so close, it's not funny. Yeah, it won't work for the rest of it. Where's my white? There it is. Okay. Alrighty. God, I love those bobbins. Pre-wound bobbins. Two fats, yeah. Dacron, a type of wadding. Yeah, so D-A-C-R-O-N. Yep, it is that. It's very thick. D-A-C-R-O-N. So I'll just write that down. Morning, is that a cotton fabric with design on it? Yes, Linda. That's just cotton. I drew this design on it, which is from my succulent pattern. Two fat quarters. Easy, got it. really easy project. I'm just going to make sure you guys can see because I've zoomed the camera in to do. So that is it there. All right. Now let me zoom that camera back out so you can see a little bit more. Okay. Now this is the hard part. If there's a hard part to it, this is it. Take those pins out of the outside. So take them all out. Might actually take that one out for now too. Now I've got that all sewn down around the outside. I'm going to lift up my fabric, and this is where your duckbills will come in really handy. What I do is I turn it over, and I can see I've stitched around, and I cut roughly around without cutting my fabric around that design. I actually had, here's a story, I had a quilt sent to me and she used this for the wadding, like this, and I had to do it, it was many years ago, had to do it on the long arm, and I did it, but because it was so thick, I had so much trouble with getting the needle to come up because the long arm's not designed to quilt, you know, this thick. Anyway, it kept catching, so doing it on your sit down is a lot easier. And I did tell her not to give me a quilt with that in it again. But she used this, which is like full on 100% plastic polyester stuff. Yeah, so don't throw that away. That is so usable. That is something you can definitely keep and use it for another time. Now this is where she gets a bit technical. This is where you basically got to put your foot on it, and it's been a while since I've done this. You slowly but surely, I'm just trying to get my thing right, just slowly cut into, being very wary of cutting your threads, but you've got to get up fairly close, okay? But don't cut your threads. That's what you don't want to do. So come up there, cut off the hairy bits, and I can see it goes in a bit there. So get your blade underneath, the pointy one underneath there, and that's why the duckbills are so awesome. You can get right in close to those little corners. How cool is that? Okay. So we go all the way around. Be careful to keep your fabric out of the way. You will cut through your fabric at some point. It is bound to happen. Don't be hard on yourself if you do. Just be careful not to. So trim around. These make really beautiful pillows. You can do them as blocks in a quilt. Trying to do it too so that you can see what I'm doing. And I want to thank people who have been sending me messages telling me how much they appreciate me. I really appreciate you in return. I've had a few, so I really appreciate your feedback. And you guys are just as wonderful as what you think I am. So just be really careful. I'm trying to do this reasonably quick so that we can get through to the next section. But you would take your time. Mine is going to be a little bit not as perfect as what yours will be, but you'll get the gist of what I'm talking about. So you don't want to leave that big chunky bit in there. You want to get in there and trim around. If you do cut your front piece of fabric, you sort of, you're in a bit of trouble. So the main game, or main aim of this, I should say, is to not trim that front fabric. So get that blade underneath like that and run it along that seam. It will come really, really close. So if you don't have a pair of duckbills, this is why I originally got my first pair ever, and this is why I get them made, because they are super awesome. Trying to keep under the camera. Oh, I think no, I didn't clip. Thought I might have clipped the thread. All right, so the old way of doing this would be to sew it all down in 3 layers or 4 layers, and then you would need to cut a slit in the back and stuff it with stuff and hope to goodness that you get it nice and even. This method will make sure it's even. No guessing games. So you can get that blade right in there, close up. You can see I push it up under. Just make sure you don't grab that fabric. I've got my finger underneath so I can feel. I cut that real thick bit off first. It's a bit like shearing a sheep really, isn't it? Cut back some of that and trim this. And we are all the way around. I chose this to trim around because I figured that this would be fairly quick to trim around. If you've got lots of little like feather designs and stuff like that, it can take quite a while to trim that all around. This fluffy stuff, unless you're going to do the stuffing thing, that I would throw away. But the rest we keep. Alrighty. Or you could use it for stuffing teddy bears or stuff like that, things like that. All right, now we turn her over. We get our wadding. And then we get our backing fabric. I'm just going to line them up reasonably close and then turn it back. Now you can pin, clip or wad over right now. I'm going to chuck a couple of pins in just to hold it. During this method, it can move a little because of the dacron, the extra thickness. I don't want it to. First thing I'm going to do is stitch around the design. Before I do that, I'm actually going to baste around the edge just very quickly. You can do that with a normal walking foot or something. You can see you get a little bit of this sort of looseness there, so that's why I want to do the basting, just so that I can hold down that side. Doesn't have to be a lot, just has to be there. All right, so I'll move all that out of the way. Grab my machine. And I'm going to quickly baste around the sides. Now, speed her up a little. It's a bit hard because I'm on the edge, so bear with me. It makes awful noise when you do this. And once I've got that basted, I can then take those pins out. I'll still get a little bit of looseness in my quilt, and that's okay, because the way this works. Could you hold with spray glue? Yeah, you could. I don't really use spray glue, so I'm not really, I mean, I've used it in the past, but I presume you could. I hold the back with this because I want to keep that taut as I can. Bit of a no-no. If you iron, it does the dacron melt. If you were to put the heat straight onto the dacron, but you would normally have the fabric in between, so I'm going to go a no unless you add the iron straight to the dacron. It would definitely react badly. Being pretty much plastic, I couldn't imagine having that all, like your whole wadding as that. Jesus, you wouldn't want any of it to come through. Being a whole quilt, that would be awfully itchy. But with this method, what happens is that we stitch it down. There's no chance it's going anywhere. All right, so I'll move that out of the way, and I'm going to get rid of these pins. That's the prep done. Now, what makes Trapunto is the heavy quilting around it. The first part we're going to do is the actual design. So we're going to now stitch on the actual lines. Okay, so those lines are going to be my design. Then once we've done that, I'm going to spray with water and get rid of those lines, which is perfect. And then I'm going to get rid of that basting stitch. And again, having these duckbills, I can get underneath there quite easily and give them a bit of a snip out. Then we quilt the back. So this will be a two-part video, one for the actual Trapunto and then the back. Now the back has to be quilted fairly heavy. Now that can be crosshatch, it can be anything you like as long as it's quilted heavy. And the reason why you quilt it heavy is that what make this stand out. I'm not going to fill all that. I only have to go out, you know, so far to make it a block for a pillow. This is a fat quarter. So it doesn't have to be as big as, you know, a whole fat quarter. So each one, and then you can actually do this as a quilt as you go as well, you know, because you're going to be quilting with the backing on. So I'm just going to now set my machine up at the speed I need. And I think I've got everything else already set up in it. Make sure that thread's out of the way. I'm going to, I know this sounds weird, but I'm actually going to start in the middle instead of the outer edge. I'm just going to start there. Get that out of the way. You can pull up your bobbin thread if you want to. It's probably, for me, not an issue because, oh, I can see it, so I might as well grab it. I'm just going to lock my thing. Because you can trim it off at the back. Oh, where's my tweezers when I want them? It disappears because it's so fat. There we go. Oh no. There we go. Oh no, we don't. Little booger, come here. That'll learn me for cutting off, won't it? All right. So that and foot down. And I'm going to put that needle right on the line of what I'm sewing and make sure that thread is underneath and hold that down. Now, I'm just going to start by stitching on that line, and it doesn't mean you can go backwards and forwards. It doesn't matter how many times you do it, but that line is what's going to give you your design, and the Trapunto, or the Dacron is really going to poof up and make it look really pretty special. So I'm just going to make sure you can see a bit better. Get this camera in a little bit closer. It's very hard with the lighting. And there she goes. Yeah, it's a bit dark, isn't it? I don't know why it's so dark, but anyway, probably because it's so high here. Okay, now try and keep my hands out of the way. So just follow those lines backwards and forwards and stitch out that design. Now you can understand why I made that inner bit a little less detailed. Because if I had kept it really detailed, it would have been quite pushed down in the center, and I didn't want that. I might come back this way and do that bit. Now you can use your walking foot if you so desire. It doesn't make any difference. It'll just be a little bit slower because you've got to lift and turn all the time. But it will work exactly the same. Alright, so we've got to that point where I first started. I'm going to get that thread out of the way, and I'm turning as I go so I can see what I'm sewing. Thanks for the demo. You're welcome, Lois. So going up on that line, trying to keep my hands out of the way for you. So Adele, I'd be interested to hear what you think of this process so far, without having to do all that trimming and stuffing, like that stuffing of the back from the back. And if you notice, I'm not cutting off and stuff. I am literally just going back over the same line. And because it's white on white, you are not going to see any of my little, morning Kathy, my little indiscretions, which I do have a few, just saying. So yeah, so you just go back over. I'm just going to get that thread back out of the way. That was a bit silly of me, putting it in a way. Go back over where you've already been. And that way you don't have to do a lot of cut off and everything. You'll understand too when you do this sort of thing why I wear gloves, because it's quite thick, so it can be quite hard on your extremities. That being your arms, not your legs. I did a wall hanging lady. I used 3 wadding and cut 2 away. This is better. Oh right, yeah. Oh, less expense. For a start, 3 wadding would be expensive. Much better with Dacron. Look at it. It's already really poofy already. Isn't it beautiful? You can do a whole quilt with this. You can do so many things. It's just never ending. But the smaller the little areas that you've got to cut around, like lots of little feathers or circles, things like that, becomes really time consuming and tedious. But if you've got the time and you've got the patience, then you do it. It's funny too, what you think is going to pinch doesn't, which is weird. Can you use this can you use this foot for free motion too? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is one that comes with my other machine. You can also use the one we had yesterday with the decorative. You can use that as well. It makes no difference. I just thought I would use an open toe so I could really see. Only problem with open toe is that, see that thread and those stitches from the basting, they can get caught up in it. That's coming undone. Clever of me, wasn't it? There we go, got it. I'm going to, because I've sort of got myself into a thing, I'm going to travel sort of around here and come back out over there. And this baby is going to get trimmed off because there are so many stitches there, it ain't coming undone. And I can see my basting tail has got caught up in my foot, and that won't happen with the other foot because it is closed. This being an open toe foot, we'll have that, all right, that issue. So now we're going to go all the way around here. Now I'm using my stop-start button on my machine, and the reason why I use that is because it creates like a general, you're welcome Cassandra, hi Kerry, it creates a speed. And my feet, I've got my legs will go under my chair or across my legs or whatever's comfortable. And it means I don't have to think about my feet and that extra motor skill. So if you do have a stop start, I encourage you to give that a go and really practice using it. It can be very rewarding because you just have that one less thing that you have to think about, and it means you can get on with quilting your design and not worrying about whether your feet are going the right speed, like your pedal, or whether, you know, your foot's lifting and you're getting bigger stitches and smaller stitches. This keeps the stitch the same size because my hands, if you notice, move the same speed all the time. So I don't have any changes to my motor skills as a general rule. The only time I will get a jump is if I let go, or if I just, for some reason or other, my arms decide that they want to just jump over and do something ridiculous. But that would happen with or without the stop-start button being used. So once you get around all these, you'll like it'll just all of a sudden you'll go, oh, I've done it. You'll be able to see how nice and full this looks, how effective it is, how easy it is, and you'll start thinking, okay, what else can I Trapunto? And you'll start looking at other people's designs, and you'll go, oh, I could Trapunto that, which is pretty cool. Doesn't have to be just what they've designed. I can Trapunto that. Yeah, and what you think is going to be a pinch ends up not being it because it's so full underneath. It just sort of spreads itself out, does its own thing. I don't mind going over twice too because it actually gives a little bit of extra reinforcement. And for those who don't know, the thread I'm using is a cheap polyester thread. It's one of the ones out of my $35 pack of 60 threads and a polyester. So I'm just going to turn this so it can face me. So it is not expensive thread. You don't have to use the top thread as long as it does the job. It's not going anywhere. then use it. All right, I have done. All right, so that is all stitched out. I think I've got all the lines. I'll shove that away. I'm going to do this to grandsons. Oh, I missed this first part. Will you be putting this up in YouTube? Yes, I will, Heather, absolutely. I'm going to do this to the grandkids' drawings. Yeah, great idea. Great idea. Let me just zoom that out a little bit so you can see more. There we go. All right, now I've stitched all around it. It's nice and poofy. I did get a little bit of a pinch there. That's okay. You're not going to notice that. It's really quite, you know, I could come back in if I wanted to and sew that down and that would disappear. Like, it's really nothing to worry about. Now I'm going to trim those basting stitches out, and this is why some people will use a different colour so they can see it. But I've got my glasses on so I can see it just fine. This would look amazing with silk, wouldn't it? Imagine silk. That'd be gorgeous. Now, you've got to remember too that this basting stitch is on the inside, so you might only be able to get so much out. As long as you get the top off, those threads on the inside are no big deal. Aren't you glad I picked a really big pattern? So if you're wanting to buy this succulent pattern, you can buy just the design for $5. It's printed out on A3 and black and white. But yeah, you're welcome to buy that if you'd like just the pattern alone. And this is where we start. And my back thread was grey, so I can see that. Could you use variegated thread? Absolutely, absolutely. You can use whatever thread you like. You can make the actual pattern variegated and the background stitching non-variegated. You can do whatever you like, honey. It's your design in the end. That's the main thing. I had a bit of a jumping around there before when I was sewing. That's that. Unfortunately, you can't use your thread shredder while doing this because you'll end up making a mess. Come on out. All the way over there. There we go. More length on it. Yeah, so that there, I might go back in and just quickly stitch that down just to fix it. I hope Adele's still here. I'd love to know what she thinks. She's done this before too. Good to know. Louise has done it with 3 layers of wadding, which is really hard. That runs so much easier and quicker. And less expensive. The only thing with variegated thread is that you'll be able to see where you travel. So, you know how I go backwards and forwards over the same stitching and that, you might be able to see where you've been. And if you miss, you'll get an obvious stitch line. That's the only thing I could see as a downfall with variegated thread. Either is fine though. It's always going to be a personal preference. But you could do a lot of we could make it look, you make it look, especially for those of us who haven't done. Yeah, Cassandra, you can use your walking foot, sweetheart. If you can't do free motion, just use your walking foot and just, you know, go around your design nice and steady, slowly. You don't have to do it quickly. I've been doing free motion quilting for like 20 years, honey. I should be quick at it. So I'm not perfect, but I'm quick. So I should be able to do that. You know, I think that's blood. Did I blood myself? Oh, I must have. Oh, I did too. So if those who don't know, you get your blood on a quilt, on fabric. You need your spit to get it out. And it is out. Right. Must have got a little bit of a nick on the finger. All right, I think I got all those little threads out. I'm just going to quickly stitch that down. It's annoying me. So let's bring that back. I can only see it at certain angles, so I'm going to come to the angle that I can see it at. Yeah, I might be able to grab that. I must have caught it on the, I know what I've done. I've caught it on the needle when I was pulling that thread up before. Oh, didn't you know, Rachel? Yeah, so your blood, your DNA. If you use someone else's spit, it won't work. Wait, just press the wrong button. Yeah, it won't work. So it has to be your DNA. All right, so what I'm going to do is just go over that little area there, stitch that right in, and then come over here and stitch that right in there, come around here, and stitch that in there. And then it looks like I've never been there. Well, sort of. Alrighty. Blind man, I'd love to see it. Alright. Plus, I probably need to do more of it. Now, it'll need a wash after that because it'll leave like a smudge. But the blood's out. Alright. We need to put water on the spit. It's corrosive. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I've got to spray all that off. So yeah, I've got more here. I have definitely done that. All right. Alrighty. So we will, I'll come back. I'll do a second part of this. So I'll pause, but you can see the effects of Trapunto, how cool it is. And I will go and spray that, dry it, iron it, all that sort of stuff, and come back. Probably in about an hour. It'll give me time to get it dry. I'll pop it outside in the sun, and we'll come back and do the second part of it. All right, so we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.